Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with weekly-ish comic book roundup. So, as stated previously, because of the winter weather, last week's books were delayed in arriving at shops. At least for me, they were. So, I ended up picking up last week's books a little bit later than normal, which is why we're. But I didn't want to. I didn't want to do basically 2 weeks worth of comics all at once on this week. So, yeah. Anyway, we've done this week's Marvel books. Now, on to this week's DC books, as well as our entry from Boom Studios. Kicking things off, we've got Batman Black and White, number 3. Alright, so our first tale is entitled The Cavalry. It is written by John Ridley and drawn by Oliver Coipel. And it begins, Batman is being held prisoner and beaten in the face of the crowbar by a group known as the Igloo Boys. Ex-henchmen of the Penguin formed their own gang after the magistrate took out Penguin, and making it clear that this is actually set in the future state timeline, and Batman in question here is, in fact, Jace Fox. For all intents and purposes, the Igloo Boys are an analog for the Boogaloo Boys. Right down to the fact that, one of the symbols of the Boogaloo Boys is an igloo. Batman describes them as being racist, anti-government, anarchists, and all around shit people. Adding that they're trafficking ghost guns, they kidnapped a cop, and they're trying to kill Batman. However, during the beatings, though, they've shattered the mouth guard that Jace wears, revealing that he's a black man. The leader is actually kind of surprised. And we get various one makes obviously with dude's black, the other one, Batman ain't black. Fairly certain he gets called a slur. Various other racist comment, or rather racist comment made about diversity, or rather about the comment made by one of the villains, no less, is these people are taking over everything. Another one of the Igloo Boys suggests that they kill Batman and then they can go kill some more cops. And another one is coming down from his meth high and wants some more. But the leader of the Igloo Boys, when Jace tries to say he is Batman, disagrees, saying he saw Batman, he's looking for Penguin. He got his butt kicked by Batman. Saying that Jace ain't nothing but the hired help. Adding that if the leader had known that, Jace would have been dead a long time ago. But Batman's got assistance coming. And he sees it. He sees that she's arrived and smiles. Which makes the leader of the Igloo Boys ask why he's grinning. And he says, she's coming and she's bent. This allows Batman to free himself. He and his partner, it's his sister, get behind, take cover, and then the two of them his sister deals with most of the others, while Batman himself takes on the leader of the group. And Jace doesn't hold back. And when all is said and done, his sister asks if he's okay, and the sister then adds, because he probably could have backed off on the leader of the group about 6 or 8 punches earlier. But Jace has they have some stuff to work out. But Jace is showing a little bit of regret for the Bat thing, especially him and his sister doing it. Because if something happened to both of them, Mom and Dad would kill them. Though Jace's sister states that they wouldn't know what to do with themselves because they love their kids, but they hate masks. But his sister states that their family is just caught up in Bat nonsense. Lucius Fox, their father, was making weapons for him. Their mother was writing laws against him. Luke Fox wanted to be him, and there was something that happened with Tamara, their sister. But she adds that thing is they don't control their destinies. All they can do is live up to them. And the two then head out on motorcycles, which is where the story ends. I'm guessing from the title of the story, the Cavalry, that Cavalry is her code name. Anyway, next up we've got Kingdom of Thorns. This is an odd one. It's very metaphoric. Told like an old middle-aged poem. But there's magic and mysticism. A knight, very clearly a dark knight, charges into a city to protect it, and eventually it's kind of an odd one. It's very much, it's all prose. It's kind of where I feel like it's best. It would probably be best explained by just reading the entire thing, reading everything said in it as opposed to trying to describe what's going on. Our next tale, I Am Bat. The issue opens with Batman perched on the edge of a roof, saying his father made him who he was. He brought him up, of course, but he did more. He instilled values within him. By example, he, taught Batman the type of person he should be. To know in his heart what is good and bad. He has, more often than not, the bad is easy to recognize. As a car with machine gun toting, machine gun firing guys speeds by with $100 bills flapping out of it. But Batman goes after the car, manages to take it down. And there's nothing special about this group. They create a bit of chaos, scare some people, and waste a bit of his time. They're merely a distraction. The real bad guys, the one who keep Batman up at night, are the ones that have haunted Gotham since before he inherited his father's legacy. And he says that every time he puts on the armor, he thinks of them, of stopping them. And he adds that until they make themselves known, he keeps sharpening his skill with the dimwits. Makes the streets of Gotham a bit safer, the cops a bit more honest, preserves a semblance of peace in Gotham. As his father was a great man who loved Gotham City, and he tells himself he would think the city was in good hands, under his care, the same as he tried to make it himself. Then he learned that our narrator's father was Bruce Wayne. And that's where the story ends. Which brings us to Unquiet Night. So a pair of guys are making their way through the city, and eventually they come upon Batman. Who is, well, as well as Etrigan. And Batman is, well, Batman and, kind of scary. And Zatanna finds him. And asks him to please stop scaring the living bejesus out of her suit. And that, yes, living bejesus is a real thing. Apparently, Zatanna met him in the lower dimensional plane once. But it turns out that this isn't Batman that she's dealing with. It is the ghost of Batman, as Batman is dead. She shows him his grave. And he realizes he's been dead for years. But he ends up asking if his death was a good death. He asks how the boys are. Presumably, each of these is in order. But he says, the boys. Dick, Tim, Jason, Damian, are they... And then Zatanna says, "Chew off the old block? Amazing? Perfect? Yeah, every one of them, Bruce. Even Damian. They did your name right." But he asks if he can see his sons, but she says that he can't. Rules from higher ups. And she says that she hopes he understands. In fact, she really hopes he understands. And he takes a second, like, yeah, I get it. So, he moves on. However, to explain, that was merely the soul of Bruce Wayne that moved on. Gotham, however, will always be haunted by Batman, because Batman will always be haunted by Gotham. Which is where the story ends. Which brings us to our final tale, Legacy. Appears to be kind of a post-apocalyptic bit. There's a walking tank type of thing making its way through Gotham. Or maybe actually it might be a monster now I look at it. But Batman engages it, a bat mech engages it, blowing up the creature. And then going further on, before returning, then Batman comes back to the gets out of his mech, goes back to the city, and deals with some of the rich, who point him out as being a descendant of Wayne and welcome him home. The one who calls him who does so, tells him to take off his mask, because there's no need for him to hide here. Batman says that no one is hiding. And it does seem that Batman has become a monster of some type this version of Batman has eventually become a monster. But so the comic people attack the rich, and that's where the story ends. And apparently, issue 4 will have another Batman in the Future story. This one focusing on Terry McGinnis, however. Not I have a problem with the Jace Fox story. I honestly dug it, and I'm looking forward to the next Batman. I believe it's called Second Son, ongoing. It's the beginning, or series will be starting up in March or April. So yeah, honestly, they've done some really neat stuff with the next Batman. I'm impressed. Anyways, moving on to our next book, and speaking of future state, we're diving in pretty quick on our last few future state books, starting with Future State Dark Detective number 4. I'm gonna say I love that Boland cover. If I did just earlier tonight, realize it was by Brian Boland. All right, so where we left off, Bruce Wayne, who had faked his death and was little by little making a comeback as Batman, had discovered just how it was Magistrate was able to find out who he was. Basically, using some of the stuff from Wayne Tech that both Bruce and Lucius agreed was too dangerous to actually produce. And it turns out that the daughter of Bruce's roommate, works for the Magistrate. And once again, we see Magistrate 01 without his mask on. I wonder, is it maybe Bane? Big, mostly bald. First to wear a mask. But anyway, so Bruce's roommate calls his daughter, though, because as Bruce is doing something on the roof. But basically, he does something to pull in as much of the drones to their location as possible. But Bruce gets Noah, his roommate, and his daughter, and Noah's daughter out in someplace safe as Magistrate drones attack the building, destroying the process. Bruce then reveals his identity to Noah and his daughter, and he explains what he's learned about the Magistrate. Turns out that Noah's daughter, Hannah, has been spying on the Magistrate for months and was planning and is going to expose them. So she and Batman opts to work with Bruce. In many ways, he's kind of he's the distraction. She gets in, manages to get all the information they need. While Bruce engages in a rematch with Magistrate 01, or the Peacekeeper 01. But the building is going through various explosions. Before the whole building goes. And that is where the story ends. Which brings us to our backup story, Red Hood. Where we left off there, Red Hood and his totally not girlfriend, totally girlfriend though, Ravager, are mask hunters for the magistrate. At the end of the last issue, a mask alert came up for Jason Todd while they were investigating a new Red Hood gang. What they found was that the new Red Hood was apparently utilizing Mad Hatter's old mind control tech. So they tracked down Mad Hatter and find his long dead body. And like I said, a mask alert came off. But it does seem that Ravager is going to is going to try and get the bounty on Jason. But he manages to escape. He calls the magistrate and say, "Hey, there must be some mistake because I'm one of your masked hunters, but now there's a mask alert out for me." Goes after some magistrate drones. Ditches any means he has of being tracked. And ends up putting on the new Red Hood helmet. He looks from the Red Hood gang. Eventually finding the mastermind behind it all. White Rabbit. But, and yes, she's behind the whole thing and is able to control the wearer of the Red Hood helmet. So, she tries to do just that with Jason. However, Rose shows up and explains that she saw her and Red Hood there, which means that was what Jason wanted. Apparently, Rose is cute that Jason thought she'd save him. But White Rabbit basically tells Jason to go out and take down Ravager. And Ravager says, "We, me and him danced before. Who do you think taught him his best moves?" And White Rabbit literally just says, "Batman." And yeah, don't get me wrong, Rose is good, but yeah. Bruce and her father are definitely better. Though Slade did teach her well. But White Rabbit explains that an upgrade she made is the Hatter text, and it unlocks the dark things behind deep down to help her get the job done. Adding that Rose better hope that Jason doesn't have any repressed issues. He's a member of the Bat family. He doesn't have repressed issues. He has repressed volumes. But, she does manage to damage the helmet enough so that it doesn't work. And Jason rather cheekily says, "You can find me." But, Jason asks who Red Hood or who White Rabbit works for, and she tells him flat out, "You and I are the same bosses." The magistrate doesn't want their plans to be discovered. She went into business for herself, and they asked Jason to find her. And then the place is attacked by magistrate drones. White Rabbit's henchmen get taken down. Some of the drones go down. And seemingly, her office goes up. Rose manages to get the remaining drones to back off by saying that, so she's a mask hunter, and she's claiming the bounty on Jason and bringing him in alive. And then, as the drones fly off, Jason suggests they go to Slade's secret island. But one of the peacekeepers tells Jason that this is just a mix-up about his mask alert. But after Jason leaves, runs into someone in an alleyway who asks if he picked something up, and he's asked if he managed to steal evidence that connects White Rabbit to the magistrate. Whoever he's talking to is glad that he apparently did so, adding that the magistrate is being funded by someone high up, and it might help them track down whoever it is. There must be other reasons they don't want anyone with masks in Gotham. But Jason explains he needs to leave Gotham for a little bit, but his contact says not till the case against the magistrate is built. But he's told, he's told not till the case against the magistrate is built, which should be soon. But Jason says, then he wants Ravager out of town, out of Gotham, and Jason's contact says they'll see what they can do. And Jason drives off and actually says it's to be continued. I'm actually curious as to what it's to be continued in, but that's the end of the issue. And the end of the series. Which brings us to our next Future State book. Future State Legion of Superheroes, number 2. Where we left off, the Legion the Legion, who had disbanded after one of their own had basically gone out, to destroy the United Planets, banded back together to bring down their former member, Element Lad. So the issue begins with a fight between the Legion and Element Lad, and it's a rather pitched battle, and it's all happening in Element Lad's head, courtesy of Saturn Girl. While she's doing that, she's also poking around to find out why he did what he did, and then learns that it wasn't Element Lad. On Daxam, Shadowlass is sent to talk to Cosmic Boy, with Saturn Girl basically speaking through her. Well, Chameleon Boy masquerading as Shadowlass, basically explaining this is what trying to tell him what happened. But it's explained that what happened to the United Planets is actually kind of her fault. But she explains that, taking a psychic, they work on the psychic plane, which most non-psychics don't even know exists. When they caught Jan-Ar and they looked inside his mind, Saturn Girl found something only someone from her species could find, and only if they were looking for something, and only if they were suspicious. They can't remove things from others' mind, but they can only box things up and put them away, deep, but still there. And what she found was a little box of the truth. The truth being that the Elders of Titan originally agreed to let Saturn Girl join the Legion, not because she was chosen as one of the best, but because her psyche was always too passionate, too messy for the collective. So they sent her away, and they let her believe it was all her idea. But the Elders of Titan used her and her passionate psyche to infiltrate the Legion. used to collect information and start their plans for the rest of the universe. They used her to get to Element Lad. They were able to create a subtle and elaborate backdoor psychic channel, eventually spreading to the entirety of Trom, Element Lad's homeworld. From Saturn Girl to Element Lad to Trom. The Titanians conquered Trom, and the Tromians didn't even know it. Titanians didn't even lift a finger, spend a single credit, or cast even a tiny shadow of suspicion on themselves. They attacked everyone and destroyed everything. And when war broke out in the United Planets, Titanians were like, that's fine, let it happen. But Titan convinced all the Tron to destroy the impure and perfect balance of the United Planets, and the Titanians used all of them. And so Saturn realized, why would the Titanians do that? And she explains that because to the Titanians, everyone who isn't a Titanian is impure of thought. And actually, Brainiac does kind of agree on that one. So, they've got a plan. Saturn Girl contacts her mother. Who now knows that Saturn Girl knows about what happened. They have a mother-daughter argument, but it's all a distraction, so the Titan can be placed away from the rest of the universe, so that it can never, basically, so they can't do what they did to anyone else ever again. And John Kent has actually returned to the future. And the Legion is actually going to try and rebuild everything. And that is where the series ends. Now, an odd thing to note is that there's not a new issue of Legion slated for either March or April. I'm hoping that doesn't mean that the most recent Legion series has been canceled, but I have a bad feeling that might actually be the case. Which brings us to our next book, Future State Suicide Squad, number 2. So where we left off, the Justice Squad was enacting Amanda Waller's plan, but the Suicide Squad from another Earth, led by Peacemaker, was trying to bring in Waller. So first off we see how Waller recruited Connor. But we also see apparently the plan is to lock Earth 3 away from everyone and everything. Meanwhile, the Suicide Squad is going after Waller and the Justice Squad. Coordinated attack and whatnot. It does not go as entirely planned. But turns out that the Waller Peacemaker's tracking isn't the Waller he's face to face with. That Waller took over for the other one. As the other Waller activates various explosives, including the ones in Clayface, masquerading as Martian Manhunter. Other members of the Justice Squad take on Superman and Wonder Woman. Lord Zod is neutralized with kryptonite spray. permanently neutralized. Illusion Girl gets the Mirror Master, and Mirror Master basically has his explosive triggered by Peacemaker, who survived the explosion of Clayface. In part because the Parademon boom tubed him out. And boom tubed him to Waller's location. Turns out, though, that Waller's whole plan was to have is to leave Connor on Earth 3. As she explains, just as Peacemaker and herself die. Basically, the idea being the imperfect world needed someone perfect to watch over it. Connor's not a criminal. It's not a Kent or a Luther. But this is the opportunity she promised him. But now he gets to be what he always wanted to be. Superman. That is where the issue ends. Which then brings us to our backup story, Future State Black Adam. Where we left off, in the 853rd century, thousands of years ago, in the future. Sorry, it's fun to say that. A cosmic entity called the Unkindness has awoken and is ripping its way through reality. The Justice Legion Alpha has went to planet Kahndaq to potentially recruit the assistance of Black Adam. But only Wonder Woman is able to survive. Well, and Adam as well as Adam's manservant. But at the last minute, a new arrival popped up. Gold Beetle. Comes from a long line of heroes and time travelers. Basically, descendant of both Booster and Blue Beetle. Stationed at Vanishing Point. When the Unkindness showed up, and yeah, going all over the place, trying to stop it. But turns out that Gold Beetle's in possession of an artifact, the Scarab. Maybe the Scarab can be used against the Unkindness. Turns out that Black Adam's manservant is none other than Resurrection Man, however. But Gold Beetle's plan is to find whoever gave the Scarab its magical juice, and the theory is still out there. Maybe they can help them. Maybe they can help. So they activate it, and Skeet says they can use the telemetry signal, basically locate the magical power source. And well, Adam knows who gave the Scarab its power, but claims they're dead. But Gold Beetle says something is still attached to it, and whatever it is, it's their best and last chance. But there is a slight problem. They don't know the activation word. But maybe Black Adam does, and of course he does. So he activates it, presses it to a wall, and the quartet go through. And end up in hell, a wasteland, where they're found by the Phantom Stranger, who explains that basically, hell has been turned into a wasteland by the Unkindness. Make their way through the Speed Force Wall, New Genesis, Skyland, and eventually to the Rock of Eternity. Or not the Rock of Eternity, the Tower of Fate, where all the magic users are. And they meet with the contestants: Sinestro, the last wielder of light; Barda, High Mother of New Genesis; the Wizard; Spectre, the Wrath of the Almighty; and Hippolyta, Queen of the Amazons. Of course, the Wizard is the Wizard Shazam. And so, Phantom Stranger takes his leave. Gold Beetle vanishes from reality. And while they do... But Teth Adam wants to make sure that Wonder Woman, who's carrying his child, survives. But the Wizard says, we can't. But maybe Resurrection Man can help. He explains that he's died and lived more times than he can remember, and at first he thought it was wonderful, but then the curse of immortality, you know? Yeah, he has living as torture, and now that the torture will continue forever, but he doesn't want to live. It's not natural. So he puts the jewel on his neck on his forehead and sacrifices himself. As the Unkindness and her minions show up. And we get a big fight scene. Adam is offered basically a place at her side. And eventually, the Wizard tells him, you know, there might be a chance to Adam can survive, but they can't be sure of the consequences. But Adam thinks if it'll save his child, do it. And so the Wizard tells him, "Say my name. Say my name." And he says Shazam, reigniting magic in the world and creating the Tower of the Rock of Eternity. Or creating reality. So, and as in the beginning there was the word, and now the last of an ancient wizard's power, wrapped up in that word, sends Teth Adam hurtling through the multiverse, through the time stream and speed force, disrupting the fundamental fabric of the omniverse, and finally to the Rock of Eternity. This, the birthplace of his power, is knocked from the center of the multiverse into an unattainable realm of lost souls and damned sinners. He's once again imprisoned in hell. And he vows that he will see his child, and heaven help anyone that stands in his way. And that's where the story and the series come to an end. And now, our last DC book of the week, Generations Forged, #1. So, Generations Forged continues the story started up in Generations Shattered. A motley ragtag group of heroes has been gathered from various time points. Golden Age Batman, Steel from when he was still kind of wet behind, Steel from during Reign of Superman, New Teen Titans Starfire, Sinestro from when he was a Green Lantern, Superboy when he was working with the Legion of Superheroes, Booster Gold when he first arrived in the present, Kamandi, the last boy on Earth, and of course, Dr. Kimiyohoshi, aka Dr. Light. They banded together, tried to figure out what was going on. They faced and would end up facing Dominus, the villain behind what's happening at the time. And he scattered throughout history, throughout the timeline, and also sent his henchmen after them. But it turns out he has carved out his own little unchanging spot in time. And mainly so he can spend time with his family. Rather classic 1950s style family fantasy. So, on Krypton, in the months before its destruction, we have Starfire, Dr. Light, and Commandy. They're in prison. They've been imprisoned, and Starfire uses her power to try to get them out. And the ricochet hit Dr. Light, injuring her severely. When the prison guard arrives, zapping the trio. However, Commandy uses the distraction to escape. The guard is revealed to be none other than General Zod, and Jor-El comes to basically say, "Hey, look, we're going to take care of the science is still outright the military here, so we're taking care of this woman, and yeah, quit being a jerk." Then Starfire goes off in search of Commandy. On prehistoric Thanagar, Steel and Superboy are fighting various creatures, especially a Thanagarian snare beast. But Steel, they've been there for a while, and Steel has actually managed to make some rudimentary vehicles and weaponry. And Superboy, who doesn't have his powers because they're not under a yellow sun, is trying to find out about his future from Steel, but Steel still refuses to tell him. Eventually, but they are determined to get. Steel's determined to get home, and well, Superboy's kind of starting to despair. And then Eradicator and Nemesis Kid show up, and Eradicator goes after Steel, while Nemesis Kid goes after Superboy. And Steel explains that you know how you mentioned it seemed like I've been waiting for something? I've been waiting for them to show up. In Dominus's extracted time, he manipulates things to continue keeping them perfect. In Omac's future, Sinestro is dealing with basically there's some jerks who were taking the point game a little too far with their driving. When he's attacked by Ultrahumanite. Booster is blocks away, listening in on various things going on. And one major force shows up, leading to a fight between the two of them. But Booster explains, "You're probably just as stuck here as I am, pal." Major Force disagrees and tries to activate his time bracelet, but it does nothing. And Major Force realizes maybe we should work together. Meanwhile, on Krypton, Dr. Light explains to Jor-El what's happened, and also apparently her studies helping him with his studies. Krypton doesn't have long. In fact, there's a good chance Krypton will likely explode before Jor-El's wife Laura gives birth to their son. But Dr. Light might have a way to save her. Might figure out a way to save her. Elsewhere on Krypton, Commandy is being attacked by Artemis, Omac, and Knockout when Starfire manages to find and save him. The villains track down basically. Starfire's left a trail for the villains to follow, but Dr. Light is absorbing power from from Krypton's red sun, which should give Krypton longer to live. The three villains fall for Starfire's ruse, get knocked out. Once again, OMAC realizes the truth that they were sent to die. Eradicator and Steel are duking it out when Nemesis Kid realizes that he's normal. He's fighting Superboy, but he's normal. Nothing's changed about him. And it's Nemesis Kid's powers adapt to the powers of whoever he's fighting. Well, at the moment, Superboy has no powers, so yeah. But the Gondess arrives, and so Steel and Superboy beat feet to get out. Eradicator is absorbed by it. Nemesis Kid tries to catch up, and even Superboy tries to help him, but it's too late for him. They make it, and back in Electric City, Batman is also there at basically and gets saved by Booster Gold and Major Force. But yeah, Batman's is a little freaked out by the future. The heroes and the villains seem to be working together, Sinestro takes the assembled group to the Brotherized satellite. They try to get into it, and they manage to get part of it, but much of the Gondess does take the satellite. At least most of it. However, everyone's soon reunited. They work out a plan. And they eventually figure out what's happened with, or what Dominus' plan is. And so Batman goes to talk to him, basically saying, hey, look, you gotta stop this, okay? But this leads to a pitched battle between Dominus, his former henchman, and our heroes. But it destroys his extracted time is destroyed. The heroes and the villains attack bring the fight to fight the Dominus. It's explained that there's conduits on his chest. Perhaps that they have to do something with his power, so they go in. And Dominus is defeated. At Vanishing Point, time is fixing itself, and everyone goes back to their various points in time, the points they were taken from. And we also get an explanation as to why it is heroes age as slowly as they do. Wave Rider explains to Batman that they call it the linear verse. In the linear verse, people age far more slowly, living much longer than elsewhere. Use of vitality will endure for decades, enabling one to be infected far longer than the universal norm. And Batman's given one of the time travel bands to be used only as a last resort in a time of crisis. And Wave Rider tells Batman to embrace his future, or will endure in ways he can't yet imagine as he spans the decades, changing with the times as he aligns with the greatest of heroes and fashioning Earth into the most unique of the universe's worlds. And that is where the story ends. Setting the stage for this coming week's Infinite Frontier, number 0. Which brings us to our final book of the week. Something is Killing the Children, number 15. So where we left off, Erica has killed the remaining creatures. Tommy has taken Tommy, in an effort to save everyone in the town, has taken responsibility for murders. And yeah, the order isn't entirely buying it. So Erica comes back, wounded from her bout with the creatures. Makes a call. Get word of the White Mask, all the brood are dead. She says where she's at. Takes a shower, and then, yeah, everything. It's just that, okay, well, if Tommy's taking the blame for what happened, well, okay. Cecilia, the leader of one of the higher ups, basically tells some of the other White Mask a little rebellious. She goes, "Hey, I said it's over. This is over. So yeah, we're going." And Cecilia then adds, if she's questioned in public again by dude, it'll be a decade before he's let back in the field. A week later, various things are improving in the town. Tommy apparently has confessed to as many as 25 murders over the last 3 months, including that of his sister. The school is being repaired. Beyond is seemingly adopted by an employee of the sheriff's department. Tommy's parents aren't entirely happy with how things have turned out, but yeah. Erica goes to meet with one of the elder members of the House of Slaughter. And she talks a bit about her past, how she was once tried to run away from the Order, go to Orlando. But she was convinced to come back. She was told about, how the Order was old and stodgy and stuck in its ways. But without it, children would die and nobody would know why or what was killing them. So, yeah. But she doesn't like the way things went down, adding that, yeah, she could have stuck to the script, killed Tommy in the cave, let James bleed out from his gunshot wound, used it to be on his bait for a trap, blah, blah, blah. But no one in the town would have gotten any closure. But it suggests that she come home, and she refuses to. She says that she renounces the House of Slaughter and the Order of St. George. She's going to keep on hunting and killing monsters until it kills her, but not for the Order. However, she's told the member of the Order says that they can't accept that, and she's like, try and stop me, or stay out of my way. So she gets on the bus, and also on the bus is James, who asks where they're going, and he explains that he's going to Milwaukee to his mom for a bit. But they do talk, and he actually thanks her for, letting him help. And they hug, and he hugs, and James hugs Erica, and she hugs him back, and he then asks how far she's going, and she doesn't really know. And that is where the issue ends. If I remember correctly, I guess now this month, starts an entirely new arc in Something is Killing the Children, which will actually delve into Erica Slaughter's origin. Anyway, that's it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.